everybody, and welcome to another episode of 17 Hats, HatsOff Podcast. We are so excited to dive deep into small business stories to help you further your business journey. Today, I am joined with a special guest, somebody near and dear to me, Renae Specht. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
I'm so excited to be here, and it's been a joy walking alongside you in the journey. So when you ask me to talk about something I'm passionate about, no objections here.
I love this because Renae is a health and wellness professional. Okay, health and wellness professional. I started working out with her. She's only like 2 blocks from us, 2 blocks from me, right? So I started working out with her, what, September?
Yeah, I think it was the beginning of September.
Mid-September? Okay, so if anybody knows me, you know that I hate to work out. I hate to sweat. I despise walking, right? My whole life. It's like, you need to walk 30 minutes. Like I despise everything about it. I can't do yoga because I'm the person that busts out laughing every flipping time there's silence and people are like breathing deeply. Like I've never been able to find my thing. I love sports. I played sports high school. Like sports have always been my thing, but at the age of 40, I'm not going to go, like play some hardcore sports. So, after going through the journey that I did from, solopreneur to CEO to cancer to moving, like the journey's been intense. I finally have been like, okay, I got to figure this workout shit. Like I got to do something. I turned 40 this year and that was like a midlife crisis in itself. And that is how I found Renae. And I have just fallen in love with everything workout now, which is really, really insane because I've hated it for so long. And so when I started to get this podcast together, I was like, Renae, you got to come on my podcast because like people need to hear this. So here's what I'm going to say for anybody listening. I have been in your shoes of like, I don't flipping have time. I don't want to walk. I don't want to do these things, like not prioritizing it. I was there for years, right? I would even say like decades, you know? Um, but now that this has come into my life and I am pursuing this portion or this other facet of life, I can like, it's been such a tremendous change for me. And obviously, with all of you listening, I want that change for you because sure, it's about health, but also productivity and all of that jazz as well. So that's what I brought Renae on to chat with you all about. If I can't convince you, maybe she can convince you. She's also going to give us some tactics of like, we know you're busy. We know you don't have time. We know you don't want to do this. But she's going to give us some tactics of like helping us get started in that journey because I can't stress how important it is now that I'm on the other side of that journey. So Renae, thank you so much for being here. That's a super long intro, but thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to chat with you about this. So give us a little bit of a background on you. Who are you? How did you get into this? Like, give us the details here.
Yeah, hearing your intro of your journey it's so fun for me to be reminded of that because honestly, I started in a very similar boat. I worked in commercial real estate. I worked in leasing. If you know anything about it, it's go, 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 work all the time. Don't prioritize yourself. And I was so unhealthy and I was so embarrassed because I come from a pretty active family and lifestyle. And I was always the person who was scared of going on the hike because I'd be holding people back. I was scared of what it would look like for ski season because I couldn't keep up because I just didn't have that muscle mass. And something switched and I quit commercial real estate and was like, I can't do this. This isn't good for me mentally. This isn't good for me physically. And I found Village Fitness actually, and I started working out. I made it a priority. And so I get it too. I was in your shoes. I lost 40 pounds over the course of the first year that I was there. And I'm just like an entirely different human. So just to empathize and reiterate what you said, Amanda, a lot of us have been on the other side of this journey.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, one of the things that you talk about is like gaining weight, like stress and like those all go hand in hand. And I know coming off of chemo, I gained weight. And then it's, everything is like, oh, I don't want to go out and talk to people. I don't want to do this podcast. I need to lose weight. I need to do this. And it's like, it starts to hold you back. It's your self confidence level drops and it starts to hold you back from doing things that you want to do. And it's not all about weight. And that's something I want to talk about because that's been the fun thing for me going through this. But weight is what originally got me into this. Um, which is interesting because it's not the reason why I'm staying.
Yeah. Yeah. And often we think that it is going to be weight that is like, if I lose X amount of weight, I'll be fine. I'll check that box. I'll move on with my life. But like you said, see all of these other benefits that end up being so much more important than how we look externally.
Absolutely. So you're at Village Fitness now, which is again right down the block from me. I love it. They're based here in San Marino, California, as well as in what, Glendora?
Yes, that's
So what do you do there? Give us a little. I mean, you're my favorite person and my least favorite person all the time. Like I tell her all the time, like I hate you right now, but I love you. Um,
correct. You like me after all I put you through.
absolutely.
Yeah, so my title is Director of Operations. And like many people in small business, in entrepreneurship, I wear a ton of hats. So, as you've probably deducted, I train. So, I train Amanda, I do our small group training program. I also do all of our back end things of our HR, our operations, our hiring, our firing. So, really, the gambit of the business.
Absolutely. So, I mean, you're very much so, even though you guys are a little bit bigger business, you have two location, you definitely understand where our listeners are coming from because that's your life as well. So let's dive like straight into this because I know when I first started like working out, or like, I wouldn't say that. When I first started on this journey of workout, I had a lot of false starts, right? It was like, well, let me walk. And then I didn't make time to walk. And then let me sign up for Beachbody. And then I never did that, right? Because, at the end of the day, I needed somebody to hold me accountable. And when the first time I met with the owner of Village Fitness, I was like, no, I need you to yell at me. Like, I need somebody to be accountable to because it's so weird. I should be accountable to myself, right? But that's the weird thing about it. But I needed somebody to be accountable to, which is why I love going in person. Talk to me about a little bit about the journey that you guys see people go through, about joining a fitness, a strength training, and like you guys provide. Like, gosh, there has to be so many bumps in the road to finally get to you.
Mhm. Yeah, we are very different than your average fitness business. And I think externally you can look at a business and be like, yeah, they're just a gym. And we really are very different from that because we want people to reach their long term goals. We understand that sometimes the initial motivator, like we were talking about, is
Yep.
losing that weight. But the key motivator is going to be a lot more important. So for you need to have energy. For a lot of your entrepreneurs, they need to have energy and capacity to handle everything in their day. They want to be able to run with their kids, to play soccer. And those are all key motivators that are a hell of a lot more important than
Yep.
losing that 15 pounds. So, for a lot of our clients, they get to us because they've tried a lot and it hasn't worked. And they found that they can't go it alone. And that's a phrase you hear us say a lot of like, don't go it alone. Don't try this on your own. Because there are
Yeah.
a select few people out there who can be accountable to themselves and are incredible and will show up to their home gym every
Yeah.
day and do the workouts. But I would argue that that is a very small percentage of the population.
Um,
And we need someone who's going to be on the other side saying, hey, why aren't you here? Why aren't you doing this? You've committed to this.
Absolutely.
We want to see you succeed. And the only way we can do that is if you show up.
The going at it alone mentality, because, we are solopreneurs, right? There's so many of solopreneurs. We're used to going at it alone. We're used to doing this by yourselves. And we have the same thing with 17 hats. We're like, we're here to help us. Let us help you. Right. And I feel like it's the same kind of thing that you're saying here is like, we're here to help you. invest in yourself, allow us to help you. Like, you can come to us broken and we can help fix you. It's okay. It's almost like we want to clean the house sometimes before the cleaning person arrives, right? And so I feel like that's very much so. I mean, I know I did that before coming to you guys. It's like I need to show up a little bit prepared. I need to, and I look back at it now and I'm like, that was so stupid, right? Why did that wasn't smart of me. Why did I think that I needed to show up prepared for something that they were actually going to prepare me for, you know? And so that whole showing up alone, that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. And so many people, I mean, there's gyms all over the world. You can find
Yep.
an LA Fitness, a 24-hour on every corner, and those work for those people who can show up or have accountability built into their lives. But often what we find is our clients will walk into that type of big box gym and have no idea what to do, or they do something and they injure themselves because they don't know how to do it. And we want to remove that friction of working out and help them get to a point where they are working out safely, seeing results, and not just going into a gym, injuring themselves, and then never going back.
Yeah, I think this is another huge point because anytime you go out to do something new, you step into a new field, there's education that surrounds it, right? Exercise, yeah, you have the walking, you have the jogging, you have that side, but that's flat exercise. This, when you dive into training program, this is group training, individual training, it doesn't matter. This is changing the way of life for you for the better, right? This is a transformation of you and your health, and there's 100% education around that. So I think keeping it in perspective of like, what are you doing? Do you just want to go run a few miles and get that clarity from running, or but do you actually want to transform, um, just your mental capacity, your inner, I mean, all those things you said, mental capacity, energy, clarity was huge for me. What are some of the other benefits other than weight loss? What are some of the other benefits that you see when people kind of dive into this journey of working out?
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about like the mental social benefits that we see first, and then you can ask more questions
Yeah.
too. But I think one thing that we see when people are coming in and they're consistently showing up is this mindset set shift of I'm someone who works out. I'm someone who prioritizes their health, and I'm not just like going to a workout. I'm someone who works out. And that is like an identity shift that aids this confidence of who you are, and you are proving to yourself every time you come and you sweat and you push through this uncomfortable situation. You're proving to yourself that you are capable of doing difficult things and being in this uncomfortable space and not freaking out. And I think so much of being an entrepreneur is being in these uncomfortable spaces and being okay with that, and proving to yourself that, okay, I can do that. And each time you do that, you increase your capacity to do that down the road.
So let's just pause right there and talk about how important this is because, I always talk about small steps make momentum, right? So you didn't like pop out of the womb running, right? There were lots of small steps to get you there. But I also talk about like business maturity, right? And it is, when you start a business, and the more that you experience, the more mature you become in your business, the better decisions you make, because you have all this experience behind you to allow you to make better decisions, quicker decisions, faster decisions. And obviously capacity, it expands your capacity for, emotional, mental, cognitive, right? That is huge. So I love that this experience is one part of the journey towards business maturity as well. I feel like, because the more you can experience, the more your capacity changes and increases. And so I love that there's so many more lessons. Perseverance, which if you want to succeed in business, you have to learn perseverance. You have to learn to show up when it's uncomfortable. You have to learn to do uncomfortable things. And maybe you might not be ready to do that in business, but to be able to do it in fitness first or in health first, that's going to give you the confidence to be able to do it in other places. So I love that you brought that up, Renae. What else?
Yeah, and just to tag on to that, like we use the 1% change. We're looking for to become 1% better every day.
Every day.
So every day, 1% better. That's our goal. Nothing more than that. So yeah, the
Yeah.
other benefits we see are just that confidence throughout the rest of your life. And I always try to tie people's progress to a goal that is outside of the gym. I don't really care how much you're deadlifting or how much you're squatting.
I
Like,
mean, I do because I want the green weights. Okay. So, like, I saw somebody on the social media that had freaking green weights, and I'm like, I want the green weight, Renae. Get me the green weight. But I know you don't care, but I do. For me, at least.
what is the motivation behind that goal?
Yeah.
For some of our people, it's like, I want to squat so I can get on the ground with my grandkids. That's motivation. I want to overhead press so I can lift my kid up overhead and not have to think about that. And so there's so many little things of I want to get stronger because, and it
Yeah.
is so identity shifting. So if we can find that internal motivator that is actually like what is going on that makes you want to deadlift the green plates besides matching your shirt and your
It's going to match my 17 Hats brand. Come on.
it's a great marketing opportunity.
We're going to do some great lives during that one when I get there.
Yep, we will and we celebrate those things because they are
Yeah.
important and they will get you to those goals, but knowing what is important outside of the gym is what's going to keep you coming back.
So this talks a lot about, when we talk in business, you sell the tangible and you sell the intangible, right? And this is a part of the intangible. And obviously, as business owners, we know like we put the intangible in our marketing and our packages and all of that stuff. But I think when you look at it in your own life too, and going, okay, why do I actually want to do this? Why am I actually going to commit to this? Right? It's so much more than, like I said, just going to lift weights, right? There's a bigger purpose there, which is amazing. I will tell you, since starting in September, I feel strong, right? So one of the reasons that I came, there's a few reasons, but one of the bigger reasons is that I have always had panic attacks, always very anxious person. Obviously having cancer, my muscle was really broken down at that point. And man, I feel like I was just getting out of breath very easily. I felt weak, right? I felt weak. I remember going and playing, I don't know, some silly oh gosh, what is the, like, in the arcade where you like roll the ball and it goes into the different things? Like it was, yeah, what was it?
People, I think.
Skee-ball. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was playing that this summer with my kids, and it's this constant like up and down, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is hurting my muscles. Like this am I this weak that is a workout playing skee ball with my kids, right?" And that was kind of my big motivator, but another huge motivator for me is because of the medications that I'm on due to post cancer. Um, I was getting a lot of brain fog. So much brain fog, and I felt like I just like couldn't concentrate. So I felt like it was a combination of the medications I'm on, my anxiety, going 1,000 miles an hour, like a little bit of everything. And I was like, okay, I went to work out, not for that actually. I didn't even think about that when I signed up to work out. But then within 2 weeks of working out, the brain fog like disappeared. I could concentrate longer. I had more energy. It was absolutely amazing to like just see cognitively the differences working out made in just 2 weeks. And I mean, that is more important to me than any weight that I would lose. Right. So I went in for weight gain, staying for something completely different.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think so often we think about the hours that working out is going to take away from our week. We think like, all right, 3 hours a week, however many times a week you're working out. Like, if I
Yeah.
just lost those 3 hours, especially when, like, I'm sure everyone listening to this podcast has a to-do list that they will never get through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super
But
long.
super long. But the benefit of working out is how much capacity it adds mentally for you and how much energy you gain. And so, just like you said, that brain fog, I would argue you're probably much more productive because of getting rid of that brain fog than you would be getting those hours back in the week.
100%, right? And that was a big, like, I can't do this. I don't have time. I don't have time. And then, yeah, when you actually do it, you're like, wow, like you almost create time for yourself because you show up better the next day. You feel better. I mean, some days I can't walk around the office because I'm so sore. But I show up and I show up better, right? I think more, I think clearer. I mean, the mental, again, the mental side of it, clarity is huge. And absolutely, yeah, I give an hour, but I feel like I gain 3 hours.
Yeah. And I think it brings us to that idea of like, again, as business owners, entrepreneurs, you are caught up in what is urgent, quote unquote, constantly because there is always a Slack notification, an email, a text message.
Always a fire.
There's always a fire. And it's easy to believe that every single fire needs to be solved right now and needs your attention specifically. And
Mhm.
so we get caught up in this like urgency. And I'm the most guilty of this. I love having my notifications solved. It's just not feasible.
Yeah.
Uh, but we get caught up in this idea of like everything needs attention right now, and it blurs our vision of what is actually important in the long run. And if we're looking at what is urgent and important, we can handle those. And sometimes things are just important and they're not urgent, but you have to do them in order to prioritize them.
Absolutely. Yeah, one of the things that I love, my husband tells me this a lot, is like, is this going to matter a month, 2 months, a year, 3 years from now? And I'm like, no. And he's like, why are you stressing? Right? And I think it makes so much sense because everything is important and everything comes in as hot. And I think a lot of that has to deal with this because we're under stress. The more stress we're under, everything is hot. Everything has to get done right now. We don't have the mental capacity or the emotional capacity to go, wait, okay, yeah, this comes in, but I can shelf this for a little bit. Like it's okay. Right. And gosh, yeah, you're right. I'm like, this is just like boom for me. Um, But if you take care of yourself, right, and bring the stress levels down with something like working out, then you're going to handle all of those burning fires so much better as well, right? Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, this is something I tell myself literally every day. And often it's towards the end of the day where I'm tired and I'm tempted to keep responding to emails and messages. And I think about, like, okay, how is this going to affect my sleep too? Because the less sleep I get, the less emotional and mental capacity I have to deal with these things well. So as long as I'm deprioritizing that, I'm actually creating bigger issues in my business
Yeah.
than if I had prioritized it.
Absolutely. Now, I am all for like you got to get shit done. I'm all for that. But you have to get it done effectively and efficiently. And, unfortunately, there's no book, well, not right now until I write mine, on, how to go about being a solopreneur. Like, right? There's no like, here's your 5 steps. But, and so we learn a lot of bad habits because we're constantly winging it and we're constantly trying to figure out, like, how do I do this? How do I make this happen? And those bad habits kick in. But if you're wanting to level up your business, the first thing you have to do is level up yourself. And I think this is the big like thing that people just it just doesn't people don't it doesn't click. Everybody wants to level up their business and they're like, I need change my prices, I need a bigger website, I need a bigger marketing, I need all of this stuff. I need to buy more equipment, right? And sure, that's going to take you so far. But when you are a small business owner and especially a solo business owner, the best thing you can do to level up your business is to level up your mental capacity, your understandings, your clarity, your momentum, your business education, right? Because the business follows your lead. You don't follow the business's lead. So leveling up yourself is a must in order to level up your business. And exercise is just, getting into a training program is one way of for sure doing that. So Renae, here's my final question for you before we end this. All right, you're talking to a bunch of solopreneurs who are probably behind their desk right now, banging away on a keyboard listening to this. What's some advice? What's some actionable, not just advice, but what are some actionable steps that they can do? I'm fortunate because you guys are one block away from me. And I don't know that I would have ever signed up if you guys weren't so close to me. Right. So that's the hard part, is finding the right fit as well. So what's some actionable steps? Maybe people don't have a training program next to them. Um, how can we help them?
Yeah. I think we want to overcomplicate everything. So you think about starting a fitness routine and you're like, well, I need to buy that stationary bike, get the Peloton, get this and then it's a month of shipping. And so I'll start in a month. And so we want to overcomplicate the
I'm
process.
laughing because I did it. We have a Peloton, we have a rower, we have weights. I have the best workout room in my house and it's never been used. So been there.
Yep. And that brings me to my first piece of advice for people is find accountability. Whatever that looks like.
Mm,
If that looks like, and I don't mean soft accountability of hey, you want to go on a walk sometimes? I mean someone who's going to call you when you don't show up and give you that tough love you need. And I think sometimes we like to say we are getting accountability by a friend that's going to be soft on us when that's actually not the accountability we need. So find whatever that is
nice.
like. If that friend who's going to say, hey, it's 4:30 a.m., we're going on a walk, why aren't you here? If that's where you start, great. But find someone to keep you accountable. Of course, I'm always going to recommend finding a coach who knows what they're doing
Sure.
and is close and just start.
Absolutely. So I love the accountability and I mean, because I'm very tactical. So if you're a 17 Hats member, you should go and put your name as a contact, right? Add yourself into 17 Hats, create a project called workout, right? Create a project called workout. And then you need to go and you need to add to-dos to your calendar, right? Whether you can also putting it on the calendar is one side of accountability. I feel like scheduling it in, because if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't happen. Renae called me one time and was like, where are you? And I was like, it wasn't on my calendar. It didn't happen. You know, if it's not on your calendar, it's not going to happen. So that is one. I mean, schedule it in, put a project in your 17 Hats account for fitness, put it on your calendar, schedule it in. I love the finding your buddy. If you can't find a buddy, I mean, ideally, you find a buddy who can do it with you or a spouse that will support you. But gosh, go into our user group, go into the community and be like, I need an accountability buddy who's going to do this virtually with me, right? I know there are multiple business owners that will do it with you. You just got to reach out in our Facebook community and say, who's willing to do this with me, right? And get together and meet and gosh, just do it virtually. That accountability is huge. Love that. Do you have any other action items for them?
Yeah, I think, like you said, the calendar is a big one. I always say make it your non negotiable with your workouts, with your nutrition, make it your non negotiable
Same.
because if you put it on your schedule, it will happen. If you say, I'm going to figure out what I'm going to eat on Tuesday night, you're going to eat In and Out or whatever takeout is close to you because
Absolutely.
that's the easy thing. So set yourself up for success by planning for it. And failing to plan is setting yourself up for that failure.
Yep. I love non negotiables. We talk a lot about non negotiables because it's just an absolute must. Non negotiables about who you do business with, non negotiables about your calendaring, your family time, all of that. So I love this. This falls right in line to what we talk about because your health plan, can we call it that? Would we call it a health plan, a fitness plan?
Yeah, whatever you want to call it, that's going to make it important to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it, your health plan, just like you have a business plan, your health plan can have non-negotiables as well. Setting them out, writing them out, putting them somewhere where you can see them so that they stay very relevant. I have a friend that actually puts his non-negotiables as screensavers on his phone, right? Not screensavers, but the wallpapers on his phone. And so all of his non-negotiables, he has one phone wallpaper for his non-negotiables. He has another wallpaper for his goals. He has another wallpaper for his three things he does every day, which is like as exercise, reading, and family time, right? So he is constantly reminded about what is truly important in life so that when he does to go get on his phone, he sees those and he can say, nope, playing this silly game or scrolling on Instagram for endless hours, that's not important. These other things are. And I love that. I love that having that accountability too, kind of right there on your phone to like almost check you and go, oh, wait, playing Candy Crush for 2 hours isn't the way I wanna spend my life,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So,
And I think we want it to be this very clear cut, easy thing. And I'm just going to come back to that. We overcomplicate it, and then we get so caught up in the details of I have to start on Sunday so I can start my week right that we keep putting it off. And so start today. Go on a walk today. Go
yeah.
find a gym today. You don't start on tomorrow. You don't start on Monday. The worst saying in the world is the diet starts on Monday. I hate that. Workouts on Monday.
After Thanksgiving.
Right. I'm going to start my new health journey in, you know, 2024, which becomes 2025. And
Yeah,
you're losing valuable time that you could be taking care of yourself and setting yourself up for being that healthy high performer that you are wanting to be.
absolutely, and I think the other thing we have to remember is give yourself grace, right? Like, I talked about how, like, I tried all of these different things, which eventually led me to you guys, um, but the thing is that, yeah, you're more than likely gonna start and stop and start and stop, and because you're changing the way that you do life, right? You're prioritizing something that you haven't been prioritizing before, and no matter what that is in life, right? You're going to start, stop, until it becomes a part of your routine, right? Things don't just become a part of your routine overnight, right? It's called a routine for a reason, right? You have to give it some time. And yeah, you can have best intentions of like go 1,000%, but shit's going to happen every once in a while. And that's okay. But you have to persevere through that start, stop to make it a part of your routine. You can't just fail once or like not show up once and then stop, right? You have to come back. And Renae, she's, um, she's always like, or you're, let me rephrase that. One of the things that like I'll get sick and she's like, "Do you want to come in?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm ready." Like I have to get back in there. Right? Or like if I'm super stressed and something happens, I have to get back in there because I can't allow me getting sick or I can't allow the stress at work. I can't allow that to overtake this new journey that I'm on. Right? And so it's a mental mindset.
And that showing up is building that habit. And I always tell people, even if you don't feel good, or even if you had a stomach bug over the weekend and you're still feeling a little weak, and we're really just going to be going through the motions today, show up because that's 90% of that habit and that'll keep you showing up.
Yeah. I mean, there are days I walk in there and I'm like, I'm here. She's like, how are you today? And I'm like, I'm here. She's like, okay, solid. But yeah, that's huge. Just showing up and being aware of the creation of this new routine and this new lifestyle. So, Renae, thank you so much for joining us and being here with me. So much good information. I love how this journey parallels with the journey of starting a business from perseverance and capacity and clarity and momentum and gosh, just not doing it on your own, asking for help, having accountability, having somebody to push you. I absolutely love it. So thank you for all the tidbits, the informations, the journey. hopefully this inspired some of you to start this journey, right? To start looking in how you can create or add fitness and health into this small business journey that you are on, to level you up, and help level your business up as well. Renae, if they want to learn more, how can they find you?
Yes. You can find us on Instagram, Village San Marino. You can find us, our website is villagefpt.com. And I just tell you, if you don't know where to start, just send us a DM on Instagram. We will help you no matter where you're at in the world. We will do a
Amazing.
quick Google search and figure out who the best providers are in your area and set you up with them.
That is amazing, because that is the biggest issue is, where do I go? Who do I go to? Who do I trust? Right? Who do I trust? I love that. Thank you for doing that. We appreciate that so much. To everybody out there, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate you coming along on this journey of our Hats Off podcast by 17 Hats. We will talk soon.